It feels logical to assume that anyone pursuing an artistic venture has suffered from a lack of patience at one point or another. We desire skills and abilities that are currently beyond us, and that journey to get to the beyond is long and arduous. We often talk about patience as a virtue, but how do you improve it, and how do you get more of it? How do you cultivate patience? Obviously, starting a conversation about cultivating patience implies that you are impatient, and therefore desire patience. Impatience is unpleasant, and the desire to rid oneself of displeasure is only rational. We seem to lack patience as artists and creatives because we want results quickly. We can see things in our minds long before we possess the ability of placing them on the page. And so, we are impatient. We often observe those around us who have the capacity to do what we cannot. We may look into classes, videos, or tutorials to help us progress, and progress we may, making several swift strides before realizing that this pace will not persist. And of course it will not persist. The amount of mileage required to obtain artistic proficiency is well known and massive. This is when it becomes necessary to create and cultivate patience. You do not require patience at the beginning of the journey when you are propelled by excitement and quick gains. We require this boon in the middle of our journeys to continue progressing. So how do we do it? How do we develop and maintain patience in the midst of our path? The term cultivate is an interesting one here. Cultivation is the preparing of soil for seed. It is the tearing up of the surface layer, the ripping and rending of that which exists to provide a good environment for future growth. Merriam-Webster defines it as to prepare or prepare and use for the raising of crops. Also, to loosen or break up the soil. So if we are the soil here, the ground out of which we hope to grow artistic progress, then we are the soil to be broken? To cultivate patience, we have to tear up some of our expectations, some of our routines in order to provide suitable soil in which patience can grow. It is a long-term crop. It cannot be purchased. It cannot be grown quickly. It must be tended and cultivated, in the second definition of the word from Merriam-Webster again, to foster the growth of. We seek to tear up the soil and foster the growth of our patience. It can be disheartening to know you are going to have to sit in mediocrity for a long time on your way to the goal. It is hard to wrap your head around the fact that you have to be patient, that you have to be mediocre for a while. Returning to your long-term goals can help guide you, a lighthouse in the night of struggle. It is important to focus on the long term here, as the short-term goal may actually lead to additional frustration. The long-term, far-off goal is something that still remains ethereally distant, and you are therefore more capable of reframing it. Think about the timeline you have given yourself. If you want to accomplish something in 6 months' time, perhaps artificially extend that and give yourself a year to achieve your goal. If you are impatient, it is going to hamper your progress. The goals are important and provide a framework for the goal of your patience. After all, being patient is difficult. And if there is not a clearly or even loosely defined purpose and goal at the end of the patience, you may find it impossible to last the necessary amount of time. To begin to prepare the soil for the growth of patience, work on being content with where you are right now. This is hard, very hard. If you seek to grow and progress, this may seem counterintuitive. Won't being content with where you are keep you from moving forward? Seems reasonable. But being thankful for where you are, for what you can do in this moment, will help you to be more content in the here and now. If you aren't pushing restlessly to progress and are able to enjoy the present, your patience can take root. And these roots can get you through the tough times. If you are a terrible artist right now, by your own estimation, perhaps you can simply be thankful for the time and ability to create art, to make beautiful, ugly things with little to no pressure, to have the freedom and supplies to play with markers and tablets. Once you are able to draw or paint a few things proficiently, you can sit in contentment with those few things. From there, if you can manage to be more content, it becomes easier to be patient. And patience allows you to stick to the journey for a longer time. The artistic journey is not like a road trip where, when you find yourself bored halfway across the country, your only option is to continue or to turn around and waste even more time. You can stop the artistic journey at any point, whenever you get bored or impatient. So cultivating patience not only allows you to be more content in the moment, but it allows you to labor for a longer time, which in turn gives you a better chance at actually getting to your destination, to proficiency, or to joy. Why all this focus on patience for the creative? Obviously, it is unpleasant to be impatient, but it is also rewarding to be patient. When you are impatient for too long, you end up psychologically rejecting that which you are engaging in, and you can seek to remove yourself from the situation. If we are impatient with our creative progress over a long enough period of time, we are going to want to disengage, to stop creating. And I assume if you are listening to this video, that is the opposite of what you want to be doing. So learning how to be content in the moment, in your abilities in the here and now, without losing sight of the long-term goal, will allow you to engage in your creativity for longer. Patience is rewarded by success. Patience is, by its very nature, not stagnation, but waiting and persevering through something difficult. Merriam-Webster defines the adjectival version of patient as bearing pains or trials calmly or without complaint, and also steadfast despite opposition, difficulty, or adversity. These negative terms, trials, adversity, are the mental and physical strains put on the artist by honing skills, for purpose. The weightlifter, the gymnast, the climber experience trials and adversity, and their bodies ache. So too does the mind and body of an artist ache through the workouts and the training to improve. And patience becomes necessary to be steadfast despite that opposition. We are waiting to improve. Our patience is rewarded by being content in the moment and by subtle and inevitable progress. It is rewarded because we are steadfast and continue to work. To be patient, we can feel that success, that progress, the product of our patience. I almost want to say that this is exhilarating, which is perhaps too strong of a word, but there is a reward there. The more you cultivate patience, the stronger it becomes. The easier it becomes to be patient. The more patient you are, the more successes you experience, and this creates a positive feedback loop. Contentment in the moment leads to persistence, leads to patience, leads to the reward of progress, which then in turn makes it easier to be content in the moment, and finally, patient next time you hit adversity. All of this catalyzes to ensure more longevity in your artistic endeavors. And it is something worth being patient for. Like the excitement of a birthday or a vacation, it is worth the wait. We appreciate when other people are patient in their art, after all. We adore when a band comes out with its first album and the songs are wonderful because the composers took their time to produce it. They were patient. Often we are disappointed by the second album, leading to the phrase, the sophomore slump, often used by a good friend of mine. We appreciate when artists are patient and take their time to produce a thing of quality, to hone their abilities. We appreciate the patience behind the things we enjoy. There seems to be something about art which is patiently constructed that we appreciate as fellow human beings. I have learned from my own experience when I am able to produce a piece without a deadline, when I can practice a technique, it is more enjoyable to work on. And working on your art is tough. It is fun to paint a painting and have it turn out well. It is fun to sit down and write a story and you're able to cover all the main plot points without issue. It is not fun to work on writing exercises. It is not fun to practice scales. It's not fun to draw a whole page of boars and cats. It can be, but you have to work toward that. You almost have to trick yourself into it. And that is where cultivating patience comes in. You are finding a way to be content with what you are doing now and what your abilities are right now. If I am content with what my abilities are right now, maybe I can't draw a cat from imagination, but I can draw one from reference. And then every few times I do that, I can attempt to draw one from imagination, and they will slowly improve. I can be content with that and cultivate the patience to sit in that for a long period of time. Because patience is required to sit in something for a long period of time. And if you want to become a more proficient artist, writer, composer, there is going to be a lot of sitting in the work. Learning how to be content in the moment, in your abilities in the here and now, without losing sight of the long-term goal, will allow you to engage in your creativity for longer. Have a good one, y'all. See you soon.